Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and today we're going to be talking about efficient use of XP. I have a couple of interesting setups and some examples to show you how this works, as well as some interesting things in the world download that I'll leave for you to play with. There are, as always, timestamps down in the description to jump around. This is going to be a little bit of a math and data heavier episode, but it will help you get the best use out of your XP farms. So let's start off by talking a little bit about furnace XP farms. And one example you see over here. Now on the Java side, you can zero tick bamboo and cactus. On Bedrock, you would have to use a different setup in order to make this work. But the basic principle is that you put a smeltable item in the furnace as well as sufficient fuel, and you continue to run that because furnaces now do store the XP since the last time a player manually removed an item. I'm just going to turn this off so the sound doesn't get too annoying. Now, these farms have a couple of interesting properties, and one of the best is that you don't have to stand in any particular place for them to work. Unlike something like an Enderman farm, where you have to stand there and continually kill the Enderman, these furnace farms will run regardless of where your player is, as long as it is in the loaded chunks. And because of the way these zero-tick mechanisms work, you can actually put this in your spawn chunks, and on your server it may even run while you're not logged on. So they may not be as fast as some of the other farms, but when you look at how much XP they generate, they actually come out pretty well ahead. Now you should see a couple things popping up in the iCards right now to give you some examples of the smaller farms. The medium farm, which goes up to 18,000 XP per hour for a slice, although in that video I do explain why the 14,400 is better. And then you can also see a link to my 198,000 XP per hour monstrosity, which is technically the fastest XP farm in Minecraft Java right now. But even on something like the smaller farm, the 18,000 per hour setup is only 1/10 of the fastest mob farm in the game, which is a Guardian farm. But unless you spend more than 1 out of every 10 minutes in your XP farm, then your furnace farm setup will actually generate more XP over time than even your Guardian farm will. It's a little bit of a tortoise and the hare type deal. Now, there is one main problem with these furnace setup, and that is that all the XP tends to be stored in one furnace. Now, when you see the small 5 furnace design that really helped launch this channel from just a handful of followers to over 1,000, is designed more to give you some rather large XP boosts. It uses one of these modules right here, as well as one of these right here, but it doesn't go into a large setup like this. It just goes into a 5 furnace array that continually burns all the items. Now, let's talk about what problem that generates and why we care. To get from level 0 to level 30, you need to generate 1,395 XP. At level 27 is 1,089 XP, meaning to go from 27 to 30, you need 306 XP. Now, getting to level 60 requires 8,670. The higher your level is, the more XP it takes to get to the next one. Now, the reason that most people ask, how fast can you get to level 30, whatever farm you design, is because practically this is the highest level that's really important, because that allows you to do a maximum enchantment on your enchantment table. Technically, you can go all the way up to 40 in order to get something on your anvil, but most people won't be combining things that are that expensive anyways, which is why 30 is the number. So if you had all your XP stored in one furnace, and you jumped right from level 0 to level 60, when you went to enchant, you could enchant 11 times, and that is going from 60 to 57 to 54 to 51 and so on and so forth, all the way down to 30 when you can enchant one more time. If, however, you were able to properly space out your XP, then you could just go straight to level 30 and then go from 30 to 27 and then back up to 30 again. And as you can see, a little bit of math here, you spend your first almost 1400, which brings you down to just under 7300, and then you spend 306 to go back from 27 to 30, 27 to 30, 27 to 30 over and over again. And when you repeat that, you can get 24 enchantments as opposed to the 11. So with the same amount of XP, requiring the same amount of time, you get a lot more enchantments when you space them out properly. So that is why you want to have a setup like this or like this over here, and why it matters. So let's talk about some more specific numbers, and then I'll get into demonstrating the setup. I'll explain to you how to make this a little bit better if you want to build something like this in your world, and then I'll explain this guy over here as well. So a bit more on the math side of things here in terms of how much XP certain things require. So we've already gone over a little bit on the enchanting. To get from level 0 to 30, it's just under 1400, and that will require you to burn just under 22 stacks, but we also need to make sure that we go above the amount, because if you go under, if you only did 21 stacks, you wouldn't hit 30. So you want to round up when you're doing this. Now, a little bit on the XP. When you burn a cactus, it gives you 1 XP, which is unusually high for an item, which is why all of my furnace farm designs do use cactus, as well as it being fairly easy to generate, again, if you're able to zero tick. By comparison, cobblestone gives you 0.1. So cactus is 10 times better than cobblestone, which is why we don't use a cobblestone generator instead of a cactus. Now, a furnace will smelt 1 item every 10 seconds, so it takes just under 11 minutes to go through 1 stack. And that's the math on how we get our various burn times. And then the stacks are based on the XP, which is a rather simple division of how much XP you need divided by 64. Now, in order to get from 0 to 30, as I said, you're going to want to burn 22 stacks, which will take a little under 4 hours. But once you've done that first one, the rest of your furnaces can be set up to just bring you back from 27 to 30, which is 306 XP, just under 5 stacks, meaning you need to burn 5 stacks, and your burn time there is going to be about 53 minutes. Now, it's important to note that while this furnace will take 53 minutes to burn, that's not all you're doing. So as I come over here and flick this back on, just to show you something, the amount of items that these 2 tiny zero-tick farms generate is enough to power just over 4 furnaces. So right now, all of these furnaces are filled, and I'll explain that as well. But you would be burning at least 4 to 4.5 at a time. So it is 50 minutes per furnace, but you're burning, as I said, 4 at a time. And you can do a little bit of math on exactly what that means in terms of how long until your setup is completely filled. I will also just go to note that you can then put some sort of a auto dispensing system for your last couple of furnaces. So after all of these have smelted the proper amount, I have these set to just keep on burning to give you the rather large boost, instead of just having your items be destroyed. So let me turn this back off. And let me also explain how you control the number of items that you are smelting. And it's a rather straightforward process. You do it, and this is a very manual system. There are automatic ways to do it, but for some of these things, it may not be as important in your world to set it up. You block the extra spots. So in this particular setup, I'm only burning 1 stack, so I wouldn't put this here, but I just have all the slots blocked, so you can see how this is going to progress. And in the hopper, also all the slots are blocked because you have the one stack is waiting for you in the furnace. To do two stacks, again, nothing in the chest, and you leave one extra slot open, and so on and so forth, understanding that this is 5 because there's one stack in here and then 4 more here, and then you can see that we slowly allow for room in the chests to fill up, and the furnaces will automatically turn off when they're filled. So I just have some coal blocks here to make it a little bit easier, because this is a very compact, efficient fuel source. And as you can see, even though we have cactus and fuel, nothing's happening because it is all filled up. So on a system over here, when we're doing what we're supposed to for the enchantment system, we just have the one item blocked, and then we have nothing here for the hopper to drain into, and we have the one in here, which gives us the 5 total, which is back to what we need. So 4.78 stacks means it's easier just to go with the full 5. You can get very, very specific if you want and drain out a specific number of items, but when you're doing this, it's really just easier to grab a stack and throw it on the floor or throw it into some sort of an automatic disposal system you have than to try and count out the specific numbers. Now, these are the numbers you need for your enchanting. This is for the repair. So a couple of important things to note about repairing. This all has to do with mending. When you repair an item, the XP you use is doubled. So in order to repair 364 durability, you only need half the amount of XP. And it's also just important to know that when you do repair your items with mending, you can see what's coming up next here, you want to make sure that you're not wearing any armor. You want to make sure that there's nothing in your offhand that uses mending, and you want to make sure that you are holding in your hand the one item you are trying to use mending on. If you have your armor on or something in your offhand, then the mending is split, or the XP that is split between all of the different items. You can't really control where it goes, but it usually ends up being a pretty even distribution. It doesn't help you if you want to repair just that one item. So now let's go back to talking about what you need. So a diamond helmet has, as you can see, 364 durability. That means based on the XP you need, you're going to want to burn 3 stacks. For the chest plate, which has significantly more durability, you're going to need just over 4 stacks. So you can either, on this one, go for the full 5 for a full repair, or you can just keep it with the 4 stacks and understand that it's not going to be a complete repair. Now, unlike in your enchanting, you need to make sure you're over. If you end up at 29, you can't do a full enchant. So you need to make sure you're 30 or more. For your repairs, it's actually okay to come out a little bit less, because the odds are you're not going to be at 1 durability left in order to do your repair. You'll probably get to around half, maybe a quarter, before you start thinking about it's time to repair it so it doesn't get destroyed in your next fight. The leggings are just under 500 durability, which is going to mean you're going to want 4 stacks to burn and repair it. Your diamond boots are a little bit lower, but you're going to want that same number of 4 stacks. And if you can see a little bit of a pattern, you're kind of going to see where the conclusion gets to at the end. Let's talk about our tools. And I'm only going to be talking about the diamond tools because odds are if you're spending mending on something, it's going to be your diamond tools. You're probably not putting mending on your stone tools. Now, all diamond tools have the same durability. That's your swords as well as your pickaxes and any other type of either weapon or tool that you can make out of diamonds. And that's 1561. So to do a full repair, you're going to need 781 XP, which is a little over 12 stacks, meaning again, we're going to round up, and you can see the burn time that you're going to need, or you can do the 12 because you're probably not going to get them all the way down to 1, And even if you repair them to most of the way, it's probably going to be fine. Now I put in some other numbers here with the 6 and the 5, and these two numbers are important in terms of your ease of setup. With 6 stacks, that's the most you can do by only using a hopper, because a hopper can hold 5 stacks, and then there's 1 stack in your furnace itself. If you want to do more than 6 stacks, then you're going to need to put another block underneath, and it does complicate it and expand your build just a little bit. Now, with the 6 stacks, you'll get about half of the total repair. And again, unlike with the enchanting, you don't have to make sure you go over. 768 is enough that anytime your tool is less than half in terms of how repaired it is, so anytime the damage increases to more than half, then you can just stick it back up and not waste any XP. Also, you can just use 2 furnaces to have the same basic effect as doing the 12 over here. So you do save the block underneath, but it means that you have a couple more furnaces. Now you'll see why this may actually be a good idea when we go a little bit further. Your elytra is 432 durability, which means you're going to want to go for 4 stacks on that one. Your bow, if you're using mending, I'll tell you I typically use infinity, but some people do like to have mending on their bow. You're going to want 3 stacks, and this number actually comes out perfectly even. Your trident is 250 durability, so you're going to want to go for 2 stacks because it's just underneath, and the difference is not really important enough. Your crossbow, as you can see from the numbers, you're going to want to have 3 stacks in order to fully repair it. Shears, if you are putting mending on it because you don't want to waste 2 iron and you'd rather waste some experience, is 2 stacks. Your shield would be 3 stacks if you don't want to spend the wood and iron to just make new ones. And your miscellaneous here, your fishing rod, your flint and steel, carrot on a stick, all have just 1 stack's worth of items as they all require less than 1 stack. And now on to that conclusion. And the conclusion here is that there is no real conclusion. This is kind of a do what you want. If you want to be exact, those are your numbers, and I will flip through them a little bit faster so you can just take screenshots on what you want to know. If you don't care much, I would say stay within this 4 to 6 stack range, whatever you like, because even on things that need more, you can just use more than 1 furnace or just not wait until they're all the way down to 1 durability left. And if you really don't care at all, then just go with the auto dropper system to go with your massive XP boosts, put all your armor on, keep a tool in each hand, and try and repair all of your items at the exact same time. So let me just go through these from the beginning a little bit faster. So if you want to take some screenshots, you can see what you need. Enchanting, armor, more armor, tools, more tools and things to wear, and some more, and 1 last page. And that is all of the math and info you need, and on to some demonstrations and some examples. And I'll do this last over here to show you this setup over here first. Now, this is a setup you can use, and this is obviously expandable in a couple of different ways. The way the system works is, again, we have the very small 0-tick farms, but you can put whatever input you want. You can put larger farms into it to have more furnaces going at the same time. And these feed into water streams. You actually just saw that one kick back on. So I'll demonstrate live what happens if all of the furnaces are full. The item gets kicked onto this pressure plate. And what that does is do a redstone torch chain. So the pressure plate, this is a gold pressure plate, so it will react to items being on top, powers this block, which will turn off this torch, which will unpower this to turn this on, to power this to turn this off, to unpower this to turn this on, and this is the same as where our override lever was. Same effect by having the torch underneath. And you'll see if I just collect these items, the whole system changes. This is now on, off, so our system is running. And because all of these are full, your items will come back and turn your system back off again. So this is an automatic on and off system that you can use, and that will prevent this from running and using up some lag in your world, although these zero-tick machines don't really cause much server lag, but every little bit helps. And that's if you don't want to have a setup like I have over here, where once you reach the end of your specific amounts, you just turn it on to collect as much as possible. Now, these systems all work the same in terms of our storage. We have our hoppers, which I just left open, so this is a 6-stack system, but obviously by putting things in your hopper, you can change that, as well as your die underneath, and you'll get your XP when you take this out. So if you wanted to repair some tools, again, we just put one tool in our hand, no armor on, and no items in our other offhand, and we would just take this. I don't want to do that right now because that'll mess up my next demonstration, but I'll come back to show you how this will turn back on and continue to run while you need it. Now over here we have a nice little enchantment setup. I will tell you, if you are going to build this in your world, I would actually kick it out an extra block or two in terms of making this square bigger. Now it is 2 layers as well. You can keep it 2 layers, and this works by shuffling the items. Just turn this on so you can see how the items are flowing. And we start on the top, and we use our double chest trick to align the items. Now on the inside that's easy because it hits the next line and the next line and the next line. It's a little more complicated on the outside because if you just had this as a square, it would be against this wall, which would not help you pick it up. So we need to take this and do a little loop to push it back into a double chest, so it is again aligned with our system, and then another loop, and we get over to the end over here, and we have a glass pane that just hit it, drops down, and it keeps its alignment because there's no momentum in either direction, and continues down to do the same exact thing all the way around until we get over here to our automatic disposal for the little bit of extra, because as I said, this will have a surplus on 4 but a slight deficit on 5, so instead of worrying about overflow chests and the rest, we just take 4 of these and then we destroy the rest of the items. And again, back off. Now, you'll notice in the system, and you can do this when you're setting this up, I do have a special indicator for the furnaces that have more, and this is set up to go from 0 to 30. Hopefully, if I did this correctly. It would be pretty bad if it's not. And I have 2 of those set up so that you can use this once you die and come back, or if you come in with 30 levels, you can just go to the rest of them. So the way that a system like this will work, first let's switch back to survival mode, and you can see I don't have any XP. And we'll get a couple of these here. We're going to start by taking out the green die. Now, when you actually do use this, if you're using a manual system, you do want to make sure that you do clean out all of the cactus green, or the die, when you remove it, so that it will fill up properly and give you the same amount of XP. I'm not going to do that in this example, just to make it go a little bit faster, but in your world, again, after you clean this out, you do want to make sure that you clean all of this out and all of this out, and then if you want it, you can keep it or just throw it away. So when I grab this, you will see that I instantly shot to more than 30, which means that I can turn around here and enchant something, and I dropped to 27. I can go to the next furnace and shoot back to over 30 again. And again, when you do this in your world, you want to make sure you clean out all of the dye when you go through this to make sure that you are going to get up to the full level. And just a little quick tip, don't clear from this side, clear from the left, because when a new item drops in, it drops in there first. So you can see that we can cleanly take out all of the stacks without having any issues about did I take out extras or anything like that. Honestly, a couple of extras isn't really going to do much, but this just helps with your efficiency. Because we're back up to 30, we can enchant another item. And then we're below 27, take out another stack, enchant another item, take out another stack, and so on and so forth. And this is among the fastest ways that you can enchant items, because even if you're sitting on a guardian farm, or even if you're on a zombie pigman farm, you're not going to get XP faster than this. Now, you do have to wait, but as I said, you can just leave this in your spawn chunks, and then it'll be ready for you after however much time you want. And you can come in, use up all of the XP, get all of your enchanted items, and then keep moving on and build some other stuff, and then this will continue to work for the next time that you would like your tools to be enchanted. And one more. And just like that, we have enchanted all of the pickaxes very quickly. Yes, that is all of them. And you can see that these furnaces are all on right now. I'm going to switch back into creative mode, and that's because they will have a bit of a buffer in them. So once it is filled up and it stops burning the items, you do get some residual, which will help you in terms of how fast it is these machines will kick back on. But you'll see as we turn these on, these furnaces will eventually run out because it won't make it all the way around, because we have a whole bunch of furnaces here now smelting up the items. Now, this system also tells you when it's ready, because as long as there's a fire burning, that means it's on, that means it's smelting, that means it is not at the level you set it. It's only the furnaces that are off that you know have the proper amount of XP that you set. And you can see that our items are not making it all the way across because the hoppers are going to take them. This can handle, as I said, a little more than 4. It's not a big deal if they turn off, because the bamboo is generated fast enough that you don't have to worry about it wasting the bamboo not being able to smelt your full items. So you can do a similar thing over here. Now, if a furnace is off, you know it's ready to repair one of your items, and when it's burning, you know that it is not ready. So let's just not bother cleaning these out, because it's just a little bit faster. But again, you do want to make sure that you take out all of the dye every time you take out your XP, or you're going to find yourself with just 1 stack's worth of items. Now, I did this on purpose, skipping a few, because if you're playing on a multiplayer world, somebody may come in and take in the wrong order. The orders don't matter. Again, if it's on, it's not ready. If it's off, and it has a full stack here, then you know it is ready. If it doesn't have a full stack here, then something happened in terms of it's waiting its turn. Now, these will automatically despawn after 5 minutes, because it's an entity in your world. I'm just going to speed up that process by collecting them. And you can see, I think that might have actually despawned. Perfect timing. These things do kick back to life. The items are being picked up by the hoppers. Now, there is that backlog the same way over there, where there's just the extra. I don't know if I actually clicked on one that was burning. Let's try that again, where there is a full hopper's worth, just because that's how these systems work. So you do get a little bit of a head start. Because there is more than 5 of these burning, this one will actually turn off before it's ready, as these will take all of the items. Again, you're looking for a furnace that is off and has a full stack, and then you'll never have to grab the wrong amount of XP that you have. And then if this is in your spawn chunks, you can walk away. It'll continue running, and because of the way it's set up, it'll automatically turn itself off after 5 minutes. It'll kick itself back on again to check if any of the furnaces missed any items and needs to collect any. And if it finds out it hasn't, because the items make it all the way back again, then it will turn itself off again, reducing that lag a little bit in your world. Now, this little array over here, as I showed you, has the number here is the number of stacks that have been smelted. So we go all the way up to a full 33, which is the maximum capacity if this is completely filled up, and this is also filled up, plus the 1 extra that you can hold in your furnace. Now obviously you can do more. You can turn this into a double chest. You can have this chest have a hopper feeding underneath it and have more chests and more hoppers, and you can make it as big as you want to store, depending on how much XP you need. I will also tell you a little trick when you're in creative mode, and that is if you control middle click, then you can see that I took this furnace with 12, and you can see that it has plus NBT data. That's actually a copy of this furnace, which means when you take it out, you get that XP. So you can do that with all of these, so you can test around a little bit to how much XP you're going to want in your setup, keeping in mind the trade-off between the more XP per furnace, the longer it is that it takes to fill up. As you can see, we're still burning. Those will turn off except for the first 5 based on these machines. Again, you can do the bigger machines like the one I have set forth in that 18,000 XP per hour video, which will burn about 41. It's a little bit less than 41 at a time to keep the whole system going. And these are tileable and expandable to the needs and size of your world. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like, and for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.